And do the exercise, I'm going to talk about a little bit about the differences of how you negotiate with a man and negotiate with a woman. There's a big difference. Why do you think there's a big difference in negotiating with a man or with a woman? How many of you see a difference when you negotiate with a man or a woman? Raise your hand. Okay, what are some of the differences? Anybody?
A man just focuses on ROI.
Return on investment, exactly. Okay, and didn't care if you're his friend or not, right? And what about women?
It's more about common benefit.
Common benefit, okay. How many of you think it's tougher to negotiate with a woman? Raise your hand. Why?
Yeah. I've always had an easier time negotiating with men. I think I've always worked in a men's industry, and so I've had a lot of practice with that. It's when I'm negotiating with a female who's also, assertive and is a power that I have some issues.
Why do you think that is?
I think that there's been a lot of competitiveness. I think that one person sees the other one as a threat. I don't try to come off as a threat to anyone, but I have heard on the side that, oh, she's threatened by you.
Okay, so let me tell you
And
something.
you
I
go
know,
ahead.
and we all, and the thing is, you're right.
Right.
And the fact is, with women, when you negotiate with women, you need, and this is something we need to do if we want to be better negotiators. It is our job to make the other woman feel safe. And it might be, we might not be doing anything to make them feel threatened. Doesn't matter.
Right.
The point is, just straight off the bat, women will feel threatened. You just got to go in thinking that way. It is your job to go out of your way to make her feel safe. Now, how are you going to do that? You're going to have to learn a way to connect with her. A way to connect with her that has nothing to do with a negotiation. In other words, you have to be the quote-unquote bigger person because now you came to this training and you now know that you have to assume the woman's going to feel threatened. So there's different ways of going about it. Bless you. If I'm negotiating with a woman, I will do all my research I can about her beforehand and find out if she has children, if she's married, if she's not married. Anything that I can bring to be in common with her, I will find. Because that's the first thing I'm going to do before I even start negotiating with her. I'm going to say things like, it's all about the environment you create. You walk in, say I'm negotiating with Tatiana. Hi, Tatiana, how are you? I will look for something that I like about her. Anything. I will never lie. And for some people, it's hard to find. It's harder than others to find good things, but you can always find something. And I'd say, I love the way you do your hair, because I do. I love the way it just slicks back, easy. I'm sure it takes you real fast. Is it real fast to just stick it back?
2 minutes.
Yeah, it's a two, because and I'm like, God, I want to be able to have. So that's the first, and you know what? She smiles, she's relaxed now, and whatever threat she felt 2 minutes ago before I walked in is gone. And all I had to tell her was I liked her and I did not lie to her. I just found something positive. Because the moment you give someone a compliment is a moment that you're not trying to compete with them. But it has to be real. Okay, ladies, if you use a fake one, I cannot guarantee what's going to happen because people can know when you're lying. You know what I mean? So if you're not used to giving compliments, get very used to it. Because as women, that is the way to make another woman feel safe. And what I mean by that is you can find something they're wearing, you can find their hair, you can find a picture, you can find a purse, anything you can find that you can compliment them on, you're going to give them that compliment. Or even if you don't want to compliment, just say, oh yeah, I see that picture. Is that your baby? Or, oh my God, baby's so cute. All babies are cute. Mostly all babies. No, just kidding. All babies are cute, okay? You're not going to lie. So you say you praise their baby, they'll love you forever. Okay, we're all human beings. We all love to feel important. You need to make, especially men, but we'll get there right now, but with women, key number one, you need to identify a common bond with them. Okay? Yes.
So Yasmin, since we are in fact communicating with women on a daily basis, as well as men, so with the presumption that you could enter into a negotiation at any time, you're then always putting that idea first and foremost. Every time you almost get on a phone with them, you're on it all the time.
Exactly.
Because you never know.
You're always making everything about the other person, but it's strategy, and it's not a bad thing.
No.
You know
but
what I'm saying?
It is a thing to be so
is that
well
most people
aware of.
think, well, you're manipulating. No, you're not. Everybody loves to feel important. If you can make them feel important, hey, do it. It's going to get you what you want.
Right.
It's not hurting anybody. You're not doing anything wrong. What you're doing is you're working with human psyche, and you're helping the human psyche feel good. If the person feels good, it's more likely they're going to give you what you want.
Yeah.
Period. People give. Even business decisions are made on 80% on an emotional basis. I don't care what anybody tells you, it's been proven, and they will find a reason to say it's a business decision. They will rationalize it, and they will turn the numbers around to make it seem like it's a business decision, and they will convince themselves it's a business decision, but it's all emotionally based. Because when someone likes you, they will go out of the way to find and make a way to get things done, to get things for you. If they don't like you, they'll go out of the way to make sure you don't get it. Isn't that true?
Yes.
So this whole philosophy, it's a business, you know what, that's BS. Yes, there's about that 20%, and if you're not competent, of course, you have to have the basic fundamentals. You have to have the base, you have to be as competitive, as competent as the next person. But, when you are at that equal level, what's going to give you that upper hand? What's going to give you that edge? And that is honestly, it's understanding human behavior, understanding how to influence people. And the first way to influence people is by making them feel special. Okay, and with women, it's by connecting. See, with women, we feel threatened. For some reason, I don't know for why, but that's my next research, is to find out why women I always feel, so threatened. See, I never have issues with women because I'm in the women empowerment business. So all women know automatically, hey, she's with us. You know what I mean? So I never have issues with women, and it's usually women that have issues with a lot of other women is because they're giving some vibe off that they don't even realize, that it's making the other woman feel threatened. Yes.
Maybe I have a little bit of input for you on that, but
Mhm.
I'm in the beauty industry. I've been in the beauty industry for a long time. I used to work for MAC Cosmetics, and most of the people that work there are women or they're gay men.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of emotion involved, and I've always kind of had issues with women. And I always thought, is it because of me? Is it because of me? And I would always, but it was, I recently had kind of a little bit of a breakthrough, and I realized that I was probably extremely insecure. And that's probably one of the reasons why I had so many issues with women. And just not a couple of days ago, I'm kind of in transitions with my day job, and I had interviews with 3 different women that I started talking to them about makeup, and they loved me. I'm getting a job offer probably today sometime. So when I realized that my insecurity was giving so many bad vibes out, it just completely changed for
See,
me.
because you didn't make them feel safe. Your insecurity made them feel, I don't know what this girl's all about. So it made them feel not trusting towards you. Because, see, women are always trying to figure everybody out because that's how we define whether or not it's safe for us to walk in the room, it's safe for us to trust you. So if you can make it easy for them and just say, hey, this is who I am, and you feel confident, but not confident in a way where you're putting them down. You're confident in a way where you're helping them bring them up. They'll love you and they feel safe, and everything else is secondary, because if a person trusts you, there is no negotiation, and now it's collaboration. There's a big difference.
You know what's,
Yes.
sorry, I just wanted to chime in on what she said over there. Your insecurities, were they making you act different towards people? I mean, did you realize that if you had certain insecurities, maybe you were putting up a wall, or, what did you figure out? I mean, without
No,
taking
it's
over
true.
this-
No, it's insecurities that
It's-
do make you put up a wall.
I think that we were all completely surrounded by insecure women, period. It was just, we were in the beauty industry, and we're supposed to be, like, it's MAC. I don't know if you guys know about the makeup industry, but it's one of the top lines, and everybody's supposed to be, like, the most beautiful, the most everything. But we were surrounded by insecurity, so it became very catty. So everybody was just always throwing out very much cattiness. Nobody was happy for one another. Nobody was, everybody
And it's
was
the vibe people put
competing.
out. And let me tell you something. That's something I will never accept in any of my rooms that I will teach. And you will never feel that in any course that I teach. And the first course, there was one girl out of 30, or I don't know how many, she just didn't get it, right? She was beautiful. I don't know why women have issues with me. And I was like, oh no, here we go. And then another woman was sharing something, and she got sentiment. She goes, I don't know why you have that problem. I never have that problem. I was like, oh no, girl, you're not going there. Because then she was making all the other women feel, awkward. So I was gonna pull her aside at the break and tell her you either need to change or leave. But she didn't even give me the chance, because she said something, and I was like, okay, hold on. I pulled her aside, and I said, look, this is the deal. You're doing this. You're demeaning women, da-da-da-da. And, I know it's because of your own insecurity. You don't even realize it. And she started crying. She's like, I didn't realize I didn't realize I was doing that. I don't want to make women feel that way. What happened was she was raised with 8 brothers. Her mom passed away when she was little. She was raised with all men, and men brag. That's how they get along. Men brag. And they compete. And that's how she learned how to be. To her, it was normal. And she didn't realize that as a woman, you don't do that. So all these women that didn't like her was because she was acting like a guy with them. Yes.
I think I can answer your question because, I mean, what you said, I grew up with all brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And I work for Healthcare Partners. I've worked in nursing 30 years and working with a lot of doctors. But my insecurity of being shy, of not finishing my degree, about always being, when you start a job and you're the low man in the totem pole and I'm thrown out there. Well, I didn't think I was competitive. But, I was because I said, I'm going to get it done. They threw me out there to do Medi-Cal and Medicare ALJ court hearings. I had no experience. So, but I wasn't going to fail. So I went and I learned, but my insecurity, I didn't realize that I was being aggressive to women because I've always been around men in a men's work environment, always my whole life. Always starting something new. It's like I was a low man in the totem pole, and I've gone through every audit and every agency in the world where I am assertive and I am confident, but I still have that shyness inside, and I didn't know how I was projecting to women because all my life I'm always dealing with men. So and doing the assessment, I was like, it's not me because I see myself as very assertive, very aggressive. I need to learn how to control my voice, my tone with other women because I know, I mean, I'm the biggest one. I know all my faults, but I know that I'm very aggressive because I work in a man's world, because I can work in a man's world, and I am going to get it done.
Yeah, but it's how you get it done. That'll
Yeah,
make you effective, not
exactly.
effective, more
Yeah.
successful, build relationships, hurt, burn bridges or not burn bridges, and all the whole process. It's what's going to build you and set you up for your next deal.
Yes.
So that's the thing, and it's the process. And with women, what I think, and you see men that are aggressive, and I'll tell you right now, it comes from insecurity.
Yeah.
Because men are when you're trying to compete with somebody to be better than them, it's because obviously you don't feel that naturally you're good enough, so you have to, compete, and it's just natural for them. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but you have to, the most confident people don't need to be that way. Okay? You see the martial artist masters, they don't fight unless they have to. Like the masters at the best of everything, they don't go around gloating and doing this because they don't have to. They ain't confident enough to know, that they are good at what they do. So how I deal with people that have issues, I got my PhD in organizational psychology, and I learned how to deal with, you have a lot of egos in corporate. I'm sure many of you know. And so what I've learned is that when I see someone with the real power trip, you know what I do? Look at them, and in my mind, this is what helps me cope. I think, poor baby, when you were little, you must have had no power. Because now as an adult, you need that to feel important. I don't tell them that, of course, but in my mind, it makes me be empathetic towards them. And I'm like, okay, like I see them as children who are doing a temper tantrum. And they're like, want their power. And as soon as, then the energy I give off is one of safety. And then they completely change. Because remember, they're trying to feel safe. So you can control the way other people act. And it might not be automatically, but I'm telling you, the people that you would never think can be so nice, that are just vicious out there, will change towards you as soon as you start giving off a different energy to them. Okay, so that's how much power we have. So with women, first you identify a common bond. Then you give a compliment, earrings, shoes, whatever you want. And these are the 3 rules. And then that also incorporates, you have to be sincere. Don't be patronizing like, oh, I love that blouse. I used to have them when I was 6 years old. I mean, that is not a compliment. That is not a compliment. But I'm telling her something nice. Yeah, but you're being demeaning at the same time. What I mean is that, and what you'll notice, people who are not happy or people who are internally bitter, it'll come out. And they don't even, it'll come out like in comments that they say, you're like, how come I'm supposed to feel good about that, and it just feels horrible. It's just like, and the thing is like, and then they'll say, what are you talking, those are the most difficult people. What are you talking about? I didn't say anything wrong. And it's like, and he just told me I looked like, no, I said it was nice. I had when I was 6 years old, it's not my fault. I mean, that's, so those are the kind of people I just say, stay away from. But don't be be patronizing when you give a compliment, not that, but and when you practice, you know, your partner will tell you how you come off. And that's important that somebody tells you, and we're gonna be sincere with each other because we're here to help each other. Okay? And we're gonna do that right now. But before we do that, negotiating with men, completely different, ladies. Completely different. They don't care to connect. Do not try to connect. You will be looked at as weak. Okay? With men, they want to know that why you're even at the table with them. They want to know that you're competent enough to be at the table with them, and they're there to take care of business. The problem with women is that women negotiating with men is they approach men and women the same way, and men see them as weak. See, with women, we talk a lot and we don't say anything. That's natural. We're wired. That's how we process things. Haven't you noticed? You go home, you don't want your husband to solve problems. You just want him to listen. And he's trying to solve the problem. You're like, don't solve it. Just listen. I need to process. I have my aha moments every time I process. And I'll just have my poor daughter sit there and listen to me since I don't have a husband. Mommy, again? You're going to process? Yes, sit down. But that's the way I'm like, oh, after I talk, I get my aha moments. That's how we learn and grow. Men, you're wasting their time. You don't know how many times I have negotiations where I see women, stop already, you're driving me crazy, you're not saying anything. After 30 minutes, they're just agreeing with each other over and over and over. And we need to understand that when we're negotiating with men, we need to get to the point. We need to get to it fast. Okay? And it's completely, take care of business, 3 or 4 sentences, just state what you want, but in a way that's, in a way you've already set it up before and you're going to learn how. But first thing is establish your credentials early in the negotiation. You need, this is ladies, this is what's going to be the most difficult for you. You need to brag about yourself. You're negotiating with a man. What I mean by that is you need to tell them your credentials. You need to tell them why you're there. Because you know what, to them, that's important. They need to know why you're even worthy to be at the table with them. And I'll give you a quick example of how I had to shift my negotiation style. I was in Guadalajara, Mexico a few years back. I walked into a negotiation, 18 men. I was the only female. I walked in and they said, hi, how are you? You know, where's the negotiator? You are the secretary, right?
Oh.
These are 18 professional men, and I could have got mad. I could have thrown my feminist, who do you think you are? But for what? What am I going to win? What am I going to get? I knew, I was like, okay, I can either play the game, or I can take a step back and walk away. I knew at that time I had 5 minutes to convince these men I was worthy enough to play the negotiation game. So what I did, I said, gentlemen, let me tell you a little bit about myself. And forget it, ladies. What I did with them, the way I spoke, I would never speak to women. I said, well, I've done these negotiations here, I've been here, I've traveled to these countries, and I've worked with the government of Argentina and doing a $1.2 billion negotiation, da, 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 da. I bragged like no tomorrow. And they said, okay, let's negotiate. That's all it took. They needed, I had no credibility because I was a female, period. And it's not fair, but you know what? Life isn't fair. We need to get over it. I mean, as far as we were right there at the moment, we need to deal with it. Now, if it was all women, I would have walked in saying, hi, Tatiana, da, 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 whatever, talk. You have to, oh, yeah, I have a 12-year-old, da, 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 and connected. Okay, let's sit down at the table now. Now, if it was a bunch of aggressive women, I would treat them as men. Because that's how they negotiate. So, when you're negotiating with a woman, everything I tell you, this is what the typical kind of, woman that is not in that aggressive mode yet. If you're negotiating with aggressive women, you need to treat her. She has the same traits as a man, and you need to treat her that way in negotiating because if not, she won't respect you. Yes?
How, if you don't know the person, how quickly can you gauge what type you're working with?
The way I gauge is I try to connect with them at first. If they don't respond, then I know I'm dealing with male traits. As a female. A male, I always address him as far as taking care of business. I mean, I will give him a compliment first, which is what you're going to learn right now. Man, you still have to set it up with a compliment. It's called a sandwich, and you'll learn how to do that. But I lead with business. With women, I lead with connection. And it's always effective. If it's an aggressive woman, I try the connection. If I don't know, if she's like, huh, like, okay, like just serious, if she doesn't, you don't get that warmth, it's like I take a step back and I refocus. Sometimes you gotta test. I try to find out before though, and if I don't know, then you gotta give it a try. Leverage.
Jasmine,
Yes.
one question.
Yes.
Sometimes you are in the receiving end of negotiations. You are perhaps in the powerful position,
Mhm.
and you receive compliments from men that are not complimentary at all.
Like sexual?
No.
Like,
no.
give me an example.
For example, with me, sometimes men tell me, "Oh, Clara, you present yourself so well." And it's like,
I'd say thank
you were
you.
expecting me to
Oh, I
present
get-
myself poorly or what?
See,
I mean, it's like,
I know what you mean.
educational, this experience, what were you expecting? Me
See-
to present myself how? It's like, oh, no, you're just, very professional.
what would you think I was? Not professional?
Yeah. So I'm totally mute because I don't want to
Well, does
get
it,
into
let me
an
ask, does it
argument.
affect, does it bother you? I mean, does
I
it
think
bother
they're
you?
idiots.
They are.
But-
No, I mean, not
but
that they are,
but
but
they are.
they're ignorant
They
towards
are,
how
but-
they
But it's
communicate.
in my best interest to continue being gracious so we can have a decent conversation and a good outcome. But I just
And that's something that
I
honestly
just don't know
depends.
how to make it nice because it really bothers me. So I just kind of
That's
like,
where, that's it right there, because it really bothers you. That's something, honestly, that you need to work on yourself, and you need to make a choice how
so
important it
accept
is
that
to
I
you.
should present myself better or that I,
Or accept the fact that some people are just not ignorant in a bad way. They're just not educated on the different factors of how women can be and not be. They're just, some people
But
just,
this is high level man.
that's even worse.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that high level men get there not for the same reasons that we think they get there. Sometimes they're brilliant in engineering or one area. It doesn't mean that they know how to manage people, and doesn't mean that they know how to lead or even communicate effectively. I mean, we tend to believe that, but no, it just means that they're a very good engineer,
Yeah, but
maybe.
would you acknowledge it? Would you ignore it? Would you just change the subject?
What I do is I get compliments that are like, oh my gosh, I'm very, I say thank you, because I honestly, I know what they mean. I really do know what they mean, and I know they're not doing anything to hurt me.
So you play the
I
game.
give them the benefit of the doubt. Because to me, I know when they're trying to be vicious. And I know when they just don't know how to word it or whatever. So it's kind of like, okay, well, thank you. I know what you mean, you know. So it doesn't affect me. But then I have other things that affect me. That's more, I think, of something that you would need to come to terms with, because people are going to do that to you and to all of us for the rest of our lives here and there. How are you going to handle it? Because you can't change them. And that really comes down to, you know, if it really bothers you that much, then just walk away. But I
No,
think,
you can't.
yeah, I mean, meaning that it's just going to hurt you.
You're interested in the outcomes. not in the
Exactly. So you got to
process.
play the game. So leverage your femininity. Do not be aggressive. You will always hear this. If you challenge a man head on, you are putting him in a position to compete. Yes.
I have a question. In the past, I was always like put down, like when dealing or negotiating with a man, it's like, why are you here? Where is your husband or a male figure?
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like they know I'm negotiating, but it's like I'm afraid to be too assertive, and it's like I'm busting them.
Okay, well, you don't have to be too assertive. You could be assertive in a very nice way, where they're like, I don't know why I'm giving her so much, but it feels good to give her so much. You know, because you're making them feel good, but you're still getting what you want. And that's a technique you're gonna learn. Because you don't have to be aggressive when you think aggressive is like mean and bad. Nobody likes that. You don't have to be that way, especially for women. You're not gonna get as much as you can get with honey than you can get, how do you say honey, or what's the other one?
It's easier to attract bees with honey or
Yeah,
something
and
like
it really, especially for women, so you need to use it to your advantage.
Well, I find it that yes, it's like men are like willing to contribute and help me raise up, but it's like to me it's like, okay, I want that, and I don't want to be pushy, and I'm in a limbo.
So you're having an issue actually accepting the fact that that it's okay for men wanting to help you. Are you having an issue accepting that help?
Not anymore, but it's just like I don't know how to make things happen. Like, okay,
You need to close the
get it?
deal.
Yes.
And that's basically, and you're going to learn how to do that. You can't walk away until you put closure to something. That's key for women. We can't leave things lingering, because if we don't take care of it, it's not going to get done. So that's something you'll definitely learn by the end of the day. Okay. The third thing is with the man, he's gonna be when a man gets in a competitive mode, he's put in a situation where he's forced to win. Okay, so when you go to a man aggressively, he will take you on like a man, and he will win. He will win, because we're not wired. You know, you would have to be vicious as a woman, which we don't like those women anyways. To win, because men are wired to be that way naturally. For us, it's out of our nature. So what I'm saying is that there's no benefits to anybody when a woman gets to that point. Yet, at the same time, a lot of women felt that's the only way. But that's what I said, those women are, I've never met one who's happy. So that's negotiating with men. Now, how do you go about women only, likability? How do you go about making sure that you ask in a way that you manage your image, okay? And you'll go back to this when you're planning your next exercise. But the way to do it is, remember, language, framing, those are three things. Language, framing, and tone. Language, what you do is when you're negotiating, you never negotiate in the I factor. You never say, I want this, I want that. Everything you need to frame in a way that's for we. We, it's about we, because women, we're supposed to be nurturing, and people want to hear us want to fight for other people, for the children. I mean, we have that. So we, us, which means team, you need to frame whatever you want, the benefit of your team members or whatever. But when you make it about just me, then you're selfish, and we don't like selfish women. None of us do. I mean, it's just not liked, and that's where we get the backlash when they start asking for I. And then, so another thing is you appeal to an external standard of fairness. What that means is that if you can bring in something valid from the outside, the research from da-da-da-da-da says that the average salary rate for this, use some kind of exterior, sustainable, legitimate evidence to sustain your point. So it's not you anymore that wants whatever it is you're asking for. It's now the common sense of America. It's now, Harvard study that says it's good for a company to, give their women training every 6 months because it's good for human resources development for their people. It's not you, it's them. It's society that's saying that we need it. So, and then another thing you could say, they say good companies give their people training. I know our company is a good company. I feel it is a good company. So when you use what is called a moral leverage, and that is that you use moral appeal, you use the fact of everybody wants to be good, everybody wants to be known to be good and moral and fair. So when you tie what you ask for to a moral appeal, like saying, it shows that good companies take care of their people. They want to be a good company. What are they going to tell you? No, you can't have what you want. Now they're a bad company. They don't want to be known as bad company. So that's a form of leverage. But if you say, I deserve it, well, that's opinion. That's not society saying. You have no leverage there, no matter how great you are. You're not supposed to. You're a female. That doesn't work in your favor. Okay? When you advocate for others, that always works in your favor. Advocate for a collective team. Now, this is key, where it says evidence of warrant and communality. This is the way it works. This is the whole strategy, ladies. You need to show your warmth before you negotiate. Not during the negotiation, because you might need to get tough, but any opportunity you have to show that femininity, warmth before, people need to know that you're a warm woman before you're a hard ass. Period. If they just see you as tough and not see that warmth, they're not going to like you. Now, I can go into a room and I create an environment of safety, da-da-da-da. When I get tough, people don't worry about it. They still love me because they know that I'm a loving person. And if I get tough, I'm getting tough for a reason. It's not just because I'm a witch. But if they don't see that warm side and I just get tough, they'd be like, who does she think she is? So, see, you're going to have to get tough in negotiations sometimes. But before you go there, they need to see the other side. So any opportunity you have to show that warmth beforehand, it has nothing to do with negotiation, take that opportunity, and I'll give you a few examples. Women are wonderful at storytelling. Create stories where you can show that warmth. And you know who did it beautifully? And I'll give you an example of the COO of Facebook. I saw her, I was like, she's brilliant. I saw her on a YouTube video. She's talking about how she had to be hard, and these hard decisions she's making. I'm looking at her going, I don't know if I trust her. And I'm kind of, And then she says, I have the same issues all the other women. I dropped off my kindergarten 5-year-old before I took that trip, and she held onto my leg saying, Mommy, please don't leave. I was like, oh, I like her. And then she said, but I had to get on that plane, and I had to go, and I had to sit at the table with those men, and I mean, everything she said after that was okay. Because I knew that she was a mother first. I mean, meaning that I saw that warm side of her, but before that, when she was talking, it was really tough. And it was kind of like, I don't know if I can trust her. But she threw that in there. And it just gave her the legitimacy as a woman. See, people want to see us as women first, negotiators second. So sometimes, and what happens is you need to be strategic about when you use the femininity and when you don't use it. There's times I had to sit at the table and I said, look, I completely disagree with what you're saying, and I actually find it very disrespectful, you know? But I'm being, very assertive, but at the same time, before that, I was, talking about my daughter and how, whatever. So they know that what I'm saying there, I'm not just trying to be tough and aggressive against them. They obviously know that I have my reasons and I'm being assertive. So, and it's all how they're experiencing me. So it's how the people experience you, that whether they see you as honestly a bitch or a woman who knows what she wants. But it's still a good woman. Because we need to be good women before we're good negotiators. We need to be liked, period. That's just the way it is. Now, being liked doesn't mean you have to be nice all the time. People don't even like nice people sometimes when they're too nice. They're boring, they're pushovers, and people like women who are warm but who can stand up for themselves, who can state their point. Okay? So, key evidence of worth and communality before you negotiate, key. And I'll give you an example. Anytime you walk into a room, you never know when you're going to negotiate. So you walk into a room already showing that warmth. I'm serious, ladies. I'll walk into a room. I'll be like, hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. I don't know if I'm going to negotiate there or not. I don't even know if I'm there for whatever reason. How are you? I make women feel safe. If women and men are, if husband and wife are together, I will always go up to the wife and say, and look to the man and say, you have such a beautiful wife. You're so lucky. If she's not beautiful, then I'll find something else. If she's not beautiful, and she knows she's not beautiful, and I say that, come on, they're gonna know I'm BSing. Children are beautiful, not all adults are beautiful. Some are, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, I will say something like, I'll find something, her dress, she dresses so classy, sometimes, whatever, and I will give the woman a compliment in front of the man. And the woman's like, oh yeah, and then if I want to do business with the man, I'll become best friends with his wife. Not best friends, but and let me tell you, he'll give me all the business because she controls the home. Because he wants peace. He's not going to get it at home. He has a pissed off wife. We all know that. At the end of the day, we can rock the world of our husbands, make it good or bad at home. Okay? So the fact is that you need to know who, you never talk to a husband without addressing the wife. You just don't do that. That's just murder. Okay, because that wife, especially if you're very attractive, forget it. That works against you. You're a threat automatically. So you address the woman. So you always want to show that warmth before you. I walk into a room and you need to set the environment. Set the environment of as a woman as assertive, confident, but warm, nurturing. Because who knows? I may need to get tough in 5 minutes, and I better make sure I show you that nice side before you see the ugly side. And not ugly, but just tough. Yes.
So do you do the same thing when you're meeting a team of a woman and